Have you ever stopped to think that true change begins when we stop asking only for ourselves and start praying for the good of everyone? Today, we are going to show how a young man transformed his life and the lives of many others simply by changing the focus of his prayers. Join us.
Avoid selfish and repetitive prayers. God knows what we need. Ask for the good of everyone who is in your condition. Prayer is the best way to demonstrate love for one's neighbor, and when we ask for everyone, the benefit reaches us first. May this light of love encourage entrepreneurship in our community. The one who lights a lamp with their idea is the first to be illuminated by success. Now, Apollo will tell us the story of David, a young man who discovered the power of praying for others and, in doing so, transformed not only his life but that of an entire community. Shall we listen?
David grew up in a simple neighborhood, where the streets were narrow and the houses modest. His father, a carpenter, worked long hours to support the family. His mother, a woman of great faith, always taught him that prayer is not just a request, but a conversation with God. When you pray, don't just ask for yourself. Ask for others, and you will see that good always comes back to you, she would say while preparing dinner. David was a quiet young man, but with immense curiosity. At school, he devoured every kind of reading he could find, from textbooks to old magazines. His greatest dream was to attend university, but money was scarce. His mother always told him, "One day you will get there." At 18, David received a full scholarship to a prestigious university. It was a miracle, and he and his parents celebrated. However, the initial joy soon turned into insecurity. On the first day of class, the campus was vast and full of well-dressed students, with the latest generation cell phones. David felt out of place, wearing a simple shirt and worn-out sneakers, inherited from a cousin. The first few weeks were difficult. In study groups, his ideas were ignored, and in discussions, his words were interrupted. "You don't understand, you come from a public school," a colleague said with a condescending smile. Insecurity began to corrode his self-esteem. After a difficult exam, David sat in the university hallway, and tears streamed from his eyes. He questioned whether he had made the right choice, but then remembered his mother's words, "When you pray, don't just ask for yourself, ask for others." He closed his eyes and instead of asking for strength for himself, he prayed, "Lord, give strength to all who feel alone here. May we find a way together." In the following days, something curious happened. Every time he prayed for others, David felt more courageous. He began to observe his colleagues and realized that many, even those who seemed confident, were also facing difficulties. Some were dealing with parental pressure, others with loneliness, and some with the uncertainty of the future. It was during a conversation with Mary, a colleague who worked at a diner to pay for her studies, that David's idea began to take shape. What if we created a platform to help young people from disadvantaged communities get access to courses and mentorship, he suggested. Mary, excited, replied, "That would be incredible. But how do we start?" David didn't have an answer, but for the first time in weeks, he felt a clear purpose. He wanted to help. That night, he took an old notebook and began to sketch his project. He taught himself programming and website design, using the university's lab. He also talked to other students who, like him, were facing difficulties. Soon, a group of volunteers began to form. However, the challenges were many. The platform had several technical problems, and David didn't have the resources to solve them. He sought support, but doors closed. "A social project? That doesn't yield a return," they said. One night, exhausted and unsure what to do, he prayed, "Lord, this project is to help others. Please, Lord, help me." The next day, he received a message from a former professor. He had heard about the project and wanted to help, as he knew a programmer who could fix the technical problems. With this help, the Light for All platform finally came to life. David launched the first course, an introduction to computer science, and used the university's lab to record the classes. The first students were young people from public schools and unemployed individuals who did not have access to quality courses. With every step, with every success story, David's faith grew stronger. David's project soon attracted attention. A local newspaper did a story, and a radio station invited him for an interview. During the interview, the journalist asked, "Why do you do this?" And David replied, "Because I believe that when we light a lamp for another, we also light ourselves." Little by little, the platform grew. Companies began offering internships to the students, and investors became interested in helping to expand the project. David, once an insecure young man, was now invited to speak at entrepreneurship events. He had transformed into an example of how faith, generosity, and determination can change lives. At an event, David shared his journey. "I learned that when we ask for others, we are the first to be helped. Success is not about money or fame, but about making a difference." Today, Light for All is a recognized platform that has helped hundreds of young people find opportunities. David walked onto the stage of a large auditorium, looking out at a packed audience. The lights shone on him, but his heart was calm. He was no longer the insecure young man who feared the future. Now he spoke with confidence, knowing that his journey was not just his own, but that of everyone he had helped along the way. "When I started, I had nothing but an idea and the belief that if I helped others, something good would come back to me," he said. "But what I didn't know is that by lighting a lamp for others, I would also be lighting my own path." The audience applauded. Among those present were Mary, now the platform's coordinator, and his former professor, who had become his mentor. Also present were the first students of Light for All, many of whom had already secured jobs or started their own businesses. Carlos, one of the first students, stood up and said, "David, you didn't just give us knowledge. You gave us hope. And that is priceless." Backstage, after the event, David received an unexpected invitation. A large technology company wanted to invest in expanding the platform. It was the realization of a dream he hadn't even dared to dream at the beginning. However, instead of celebrating alone, David gathered his team. "This isn't just mine," he said. "It belongs to all of us. What are we going to do with this opportunity?" Together, they decided that the investment would be used to create more courses and reach more communities, always maintaining the project's essence, helping those most in need. That night, returning home, David sat at the kitchen table, where his mother still kept the Bible she had given him as a child. He opened to the book of Matthew and reread the words that had always guided him: "Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened to you." He smiled. He hadn't asked for fame, money, or success. He had asked for the good of others, and everything else had come as a consequence. His mother, who now helped manage the courses for single mothers, placed her hand on his shoulder. "Did you see, son? God heard your prayers." David confirmed, "We only win when we share, don't we, Mom?" She smiled. "That's right. The light you lit for others always ended up illuminating you first." David's story is not just about a young man who overcame obstacles. It is about how generosity transforms the world. When we stop thinking only about ourselves, we discover that true success is measured not only by what we accumulate, but also by what we share. And so, David's light continues to shine, not only in his life but in the lives of everyone he has touched.
David's story shows us that generosity is not just a beautiful gesture, but a transformative force. Let's explore 3 Bible passages that illuminate this path of faith and solidarity. Let's start with passage 1, Matthew chapter 7 verses 7 to 8. "Ask, and it will be given to you, seek, and you will find, knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened." David did not ask only for himself, but for all those who were facing difficulties. This passage reminds us that when our intentions are pure and focused on the common good, doors open in unexpected ways. David's prayer was not selfish, but also desirous of transforming lives around him. The lack of selfishness is reinforced by the teaching of passage 2, Philippians chapter 2, verse 4. "Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." David could have isolated himself in his success, but he chose to share his knowledge. This passage reinforces that true growth comes when we set aside individualism and care about the well-being of others. By creating the Light for All platform, he lived this principle, showing that solidarity is the path to a fulfilling life. When we care about others, we reap fruits that go beyond the material, such as inner peace and fulfillment. We arrive at passage 3, Luke chapter 6 verse 38, and here we have "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." David's story is a living example of this passage. By investing his time and resources in others, he received back not only recognition, but also the satisfaction of seeing lives transformed. Generosity is not an empty act, it is a cycle that returns multiplied. When we give from the heart, we receive in abundance, whether in the form of gratitude, opportunities, or inner peace. Now, Apollo will invite us to reflect on how we can apply these teachings in our lives. Shall we listen?
This life passage of David shows us that success is measured not only by personal achievements, but by the ability to positively impact the world around us. He could have closed himself off in his own ambition, but he chose to be a light for others. This attitude not only strengthened him but also created a legacy of hope. David's prayer was not a selfish request, but a cry for the common good. And that is exactly what made him an example of leadership and empathy. If this video resonated with you, we ask that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell to not miss our next reflections. Your support is fundamental for us to continue sharing messages that inspire and transform. Leave in the comments how you have applied generosity in your life. Together, we can build a better world, one gesture at a time. Going back. When we are willing to serve, we discover that true fulfillment lies in seeing others grow. Generosity does not impoverish, it enriches the soul and opens paths we would never have imagined. Remembering the message, the one who lights a lamp with their idea is the first to be illuminated by success. Today, you too can be an agent of transformation. No matter how small your gesture, it can be the beginning of a great change. Like David, you can light a lamp that will illuminate not only your life but the lives of many others. If this story inspired you, we have other content on the screen that will deepen your reflection on the power of generosity. Don't miss watching it. Thank you for being part of Think Strong. See you soon, and remember, when you illuminate the path of others, you also illuminate yourself.